Before I was born, my family lived on 67 Echo Ave in Cardiff, Alberta. It was a community with young families and friendly neighbors. Next door, our neighbors Lynn and Lawrence had two young daughters, Jackie and Jessica. Jessica had her first child with her boyfriend James in 2003. Soon after, I was born and our family moved out to Pickardville in 2006. We did not have any contact with them until a few years later in 2009 when my parents saw in the news that Jessica was murdered by James. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow 4-Hers, guests, and honored judges, Jessie's house. After the tragic incident, Jessica's parents took in all three of her children and decided to start the Jessica Martel Foundation. Their website explains Jessica's story. When Jessica started dating James, Lynn had heard about his past abusive behavior and questioned Jessica about it. Although Jessica assured her mom that he was treating her well and had changed, Lynn had noticed little things like James treating Jessica badly, using drugs and drinking more often, and he couldn't seem to keep a job. When James and Jessica moved in together, things only got worse. When Jessica told him that she was leaving, he hit her for the first time. The police were called and James spent the night in jail. Jessica was young, naive, and thought she could change him. In Lynn's first marriage, she was in the same situation as Jessica, so she knew she was repeating her own mistakes and could recognize the signs. When they started a family, Jessica pretty much raised the children all on her own, and he would often steal her money, leaving her broke for milk and diapers. Although Jessica wanted to leave, there was a 6 to 8 week wait to get into a safe house. After a big fight erupted, Jessica decided that she was done and needed to leave for the safety of her and her kids. Lynn and Jessica made plans to get them out. They were scared James would find out, but at this point there was no other option. Unfortunately, that day, James found out. Lynn carried on in her day, but there was a pit in her stomach and she had a bad feeling. Lynn went over to Jessica's house and saw ambulances, police officers, you name it. Her husband Lawrence was already there, and he told Lynn that he is so sorry, but Jessica is dead. James had killed her. Lawrence had gotten a call from James's mom saying that Jessica and James were fighting and that he should go over there and intervene. Lawrence, however, was too late, and as soon as he stepped in the door, he saw Jessica on the floor, strangled to death. Not only did Lawrence witness the scene, but 3 children did as well. Lynn and Lawrence were now left to take care of their grandchildren all on their own. The main goal of the Memorial Foundation was building Jessie's house, a safe house for victims of domestic violence, and a house that should have been there for Jessica. Jessie's house is more than just a bed to stay in for the night. It provides a broad range of services and specialized support. They accommodate for the largest of families with their 35-bed building. Jessie's house relies almost entirely on fundraising, donations, gifts, and volunteering. This is why my family and I decided to cook and serve a Christmas meal for the residents this past December. Because we personally knew Lynn and Lawrence, we were able to contact them and volunteer. The exact location of Jessie's house is not shared publicly because many of the abusive spouses do try to track down their families. The house is also designed and equipped with extensive security features that protects the victims that stay there. The day came where we were to volunteer. I was really nervous on the way there because I did not know what to expect. When we arrived at Jessie's house, we had a quick orientation and were really impressed with the size and amenities that the house had to offer. We set to work preparing food for the meal that evening. We also began to meet some of the residents as they came down to the kitchen for a snack. It broke my heart to see all of the small children and babies in that situation. It made me thankful for the safe upbringing that I've lived. We even got to hold one of the babies for a while. Before supper, Lawrence dressed up as Santa and brought gifts for all of the kids in the activity room. It was so nice to see their eyes light up and smiles on their faces. Then it was time for our Christmas feast. Much of the food was donated by local grocery stores. We served the meals to the families, and I was happy that we had more than enough food for all of them. After cleaning up and doing the dishes, we said farewell to Lynn and Lawrence. To dedicate the rest of their lives to a cause in memory of their daughter is so inspiring, and they are both truly heroes in my eyes. If you or someone else is in an abusive relationship, there are many ways to get help through crisis lines. These crisis lines give you access to safe houses and shelters and will intervene as needed. Each year, Alberta shelters receive over 52,000 calls from people experiencing domestic violence. There is a nationwide shortage of emergency shelter beds for victims of domestic violence. I really think that there should be more public funding available to these shelters to ensure that they are equipped with the resources that they need to keep these people safe. Who knows, if Jessica had a shelter to go to, maybe she would still be alive today.